Nyla Mensa first noticed Aton Cole on a rainy Thursday, when the sky looked bruised and the city smelled like wet asphalt and roasted coffee. She had ducked into Cora House Cafe to escape the downpour, shaking water from her hair and laughing at herself for trusting an umbrella that had betrayed her in 2 minutes. Aton was behind the counter, sleeves rolled up, eyes calm like he had all the time in the world. He handed her a napkin without making it a big deal. "That umbrella fought you and won," he said, and she laughed, an honest laugh that warmed her chest. "Please like, comment, and subscribe. And tell us where you're watching from: Lagos, Accra, Nairobi, London, New York, anywhere in the world, because your love keeps these stories alive." From that day, their lives began to fold into each other in small, quiet ways. Nyla started coming in at the same hour, not because she couldn't make coffee at home, but because she liked the peace around him. She liked how he remembered details: no sugar, extra cinnamon, oat milk on days her stomach was acting rude. She liked how he didn't flirt loudly like other men. He was soft-spoken, careful, and somehow that made him feel dangerous, like a secret she couldn't stop touching. Aton wasn't the loudest in the room, but he had a presence that made the room listen when he spoke. He asked her what she wrote in her notebook, and she told him lies at first: work notes, shopping lists, until one evening she said the truth. "Stories," she admitted. "I write stories that I'm scared to show anybody." "Show me," he said, like it was simple. She slid the notebook to him with shaking fingers. He read a page, then another, then looked up with his eyes softened. "You make people feel things," he said. "That's rare." Nyla pretended not to care, but his words stayed with her like perfume on a scarf. From then on, they built a friendship that looked ordinary to outsiders. A writer and a barista who liked the same music, who argued about old movies, who took long walks after the cafe closed. But inside Nyla, it was already something else. It was a slow, steady blooming that she kept under her ribs, where nobody could point at it and laugh. Sometimes he would touch her, only small touches. A guiding hand at her elbow as they crossed a busy street. A brush of fingers when he passed her a cup. Once, when she had a headache, he placed his palm on her forehead and whispered, "Breathe," and she felt her heart make a promise he hadn't asked for. Nyla told herself she was being wise. She told herself silence was safety. She had watched love ruin people in her family. She had seen aunts stay too long with men who didn't choose them publicly. She had seen the shame of waiting. So she held her feelings like a candle in a windy place, careful, hidden, protected by her own hands. There was also another reason she stayed quiet. Aton's life had edges she couldn't touch. He took phone calls outside, voice low. He sometimes stared into nothing like he was reading a message on the air. Once she asked him, "Are you okay?" And he gave her a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "I will be," he said. And then, one night, she found out why. They were closing the cafe together when Aton's phone buzzed. He checked the screen, and his shoulders tightened. Nyla pretended not to notice, wiping down tables, listening to the rain hit the windows. "Is it your family?" she asked gently. He hesitated, then nodded. "My mother." "Is she sick?" "No," he said quickly. Then he exhaled, like he was stepping into water. "She wants me home." "Home where?" He looked at her, and for the first time, Nyla saw fear in him. Real fear, not the everyday kind. "Riverton," he said. "It's complicated." Nyla tried to joke. "Everything is complicated when it's family." He didn't laugh. He set his phone down. "There's something I should have told you." Her stomach dipped. "Okay." Aton rubbed his jaw, eyes flicking toward the door like the truth might burst in. "My family has expectations," he began. "They plan things. They always plan things." Nyla leaned against the counter to steady herself. "What kind of things?" He swallowed. "Marriage." The word landed between them like a heavy plate shattering on the floor. Nyla's breath caught, but she forced her face to stay calm, because she was practiced at swallowing pain. "You're engaged?" she asked, voice too quiet. "Not officially," he said, and that was somehow worse. "It's been discussed for years. A family arrangement. I left to avoid it. I came here to build my own life. But my father died last year, and now my mother is holding on tighter." Nyla stared at him, trying to make sense of this version of the world. She had heard stories like that, but they always felt far away, like something that happened in old movies or in other people's homes. "So what happens now?" she asked. Aton's eyes shone with something like regret. "I don't know." Nyla wanted to scream, I know. She wanted to say, "Choose me. Choose us. Choose the life you built here." But her silence had trained her mouth to behave. And she had never claimed him with words, not once. So how could she fight for something she had never admitted? Instead, she asked the safest question. Do you love her? Eitan's face tightened. I don't even know her well. That's not the question, Nyla whispered. He stepped closer, and his voice dropped. Nyla, you matter to me. More than you know. Her heart did something helpless and hopeful. Then don't go, she said before she could stop herself. Eitan's hand lifted, then fell, like he didn't trust his own touch. I have to, he said. Just for a week. To talk. To stand my ground. Nyla nodded, even though every part of her wanted to hold onto his sleeve. Okay, she lied. The next morning, he left. He hugged her outside the cafe, long enough that she could feel his heartbeat. Then he pulled back and studied her face like he was memorizing it. I'll be back, he promised. Nyla smiled like a strong woman. I know. But when he walked away, something in her already knew that promises were fragile things. At first, he texted. A picture of a sunrise. A short video of birds on a wire. I miss you, he wrote once at 2:11 a.m., and Nyla stared at those words like they were a life raft. She wanted to answer, I miss you too. I love you. I've loved you in silence like a fool. But her fingers froze. Her fear whispered, if you say it and he still leaves, you will break in a way you can't hide. So she typed, come back safe. Then the messages slowed. 2 days without a text. Then 3. Nyla called once. It rang until voicemail. She called again the next day. Hello. His voice sounded strange, tight, distant. Eitan, she breathed, relief flooding her. I've been worried. I'm fine, he said quickly. Things are just intense here. Can we talk? There was a pause, and in the background she heard voices. Women laughing, plates clinking, life continuing without her. Not now, he said. I'll call you later. He didn't. The week became 2. 2 became 3. And then, on a quiet Sunday morning, Nyla opened her social media and saw a photo that stole the air from her lungs. Eitan stood in a white traditional outfit beside a woman in ivory lace. Their hands were joined. Their families surrounded them, smiling. The caption read, a new beginning. Congratulations, Mr. and Mrs. Cole. Nyla's body went cold, then hot, then numb. She stared until the letters blurred. Her mind refused the truth, like a door refusing a key. She clicked the woman's profile. Her name was Serene Halley. She was beautiful in a polished way. Soft eyes, perfect skin, confidence in every pose. She looked like the kind of woman families chose. Like the kind of woman who belonged. Nyla's throat tightened. She tried to swallow, but there was nothing solid inside her anymore. Her phone buzzed. A message from Eitan. I'm sorry. 1 line. 2 words that could never carry the weight of what he had done. Nyla's fingers trembled as she typed. You married her? Seconds passed. Then his reply. Yes. It happened fast. I tried to fight it. I lost. Nyla let out a sound that didn't feel human. She pressed her palm to her mouth, but the pain still leaked out through her eyes. She slid to the floor of her apartment, back against the wall, staring at the ceiling like it might explain. Her phone buzzed again. I didn't want to hurt you. Nyla laughed, sharp, broken. You didn't want to hurt me, she thought, but you still chose the thing that would destroy me the most. She wiped her tears with the back of her hand, angry at herself for crying like this for a man who couldn't choose her. Then she typed the first honest thing she had ever said to him. I loved you. The cursor blinked. The message sat there like a confession on a doorstep. No response. Minutes stretched. Then finally, Nyla, please. Please what? Please forgive me? Please understand? Please continue being the quiet place I can run to when my real life becomes too heavy? Her chest tightened. She looked around her small apartment. The notebooks, the half-finished drafts, the cup he once bought for her because he said it matched her soft chaos. Everything held his fingerprint. Nyla's hands shook as she typed. Don't contact me again. Her eyes burned as she hit send. And just like that, she became a woman mourning a love she never spoke out loud until it was too late. That night, Nyla walked to Cora House Cafe and stood outside, staring through the glass. The lights were off. The chairs were stacked. It looked like a place that had never known laughter. She pressed her forehead against the cool window and whispered, I loved you in silence. The silence answered her back. And somewhere far away, Eitan Cole wore a wedding ring that didn't fit the life he had built with her. Weeks passed like heavy cloth dragging over Nyla's skin. She went to work. She smiled at people. She answered emails. She nodded at jokes. But inside her, something stayed curled up in a corner, refusing to come out. Her friends noticed, of course. "You're quieter," her friend Decca said one afternoon, sliding into the seat beside her at a small lunch spot. "And you're eating like you're punishing yourself." Nyla forced a smile. "I'm fine." Decca's eyes narrowed. "Don't lie to me with that brave face. Talk." Nyla stared at her plate. Her voice came out thin. "He got married." Decca blinked. "Who?" Nyla's throat tightened. "Aton." Decca's mouth opened, then closed. "Wait, the Aton that practically lived in your daydreams." Nyla gave a bitter laugh. "The one and only." Decca leaned forward, anger rising in her expression. "He left and came back married?" Nyla nodded. "Did you know he was engaged?" "Not exactly," Nyla said. "He said it was an arrangement. He said he'd fight it." Decca scoffed. "Men fight what they want. They fold for what they don't." Nyla flinched because it was true. After that, Nyla tried to erase him. She avoided the cafe. She blocked his number. She stopped listening to the songs they shared. She told herself she was healing, but healing felt like ripping bandages off a wound that kept reopening. Then, one evening, her phone rang from an unknown number. She stared at it. Her heartbeat climbed. She didn't answer. The phone rang again, stubborn. On the third call, she answered with a tired hello. "Nyla." Aton's voice came through low and rough. "Please don't hang up." Her stomach turned. "How did you get this number?" "I borrowed a phone," he said. I need to talk to you." Nyla's hand tightened around the phone. "You married her. What is there to talk about?" His breath sounded shaky. "I'm not okay." Nyla closed her eyes. The old softness in her wanted to reach for him. But she remembered the photo. The lace. The ring. The caption. "You weren't okay when you chose her either," she said quietly. "I didn't choose her," he insisted, desperate. "I chose peace for my mother. I chose duty." Nyla let out a humorless laugh. "Duty doesn't hold hands in wedding photos, Aton." Silence. Then he whispered, "I miss you." The word struck her like a hand on a bruise. Nyla's voice hardened. "You don't miss me. You miss how I made you feel safe." "That's not fair." "What's not fair is you keeping me in your pocket while you live a whole marriage," she snapped, surprising herself with the sharpness. "What do you want from me?" Aton swallowed audibly. "Just one meeting. Please. Let me explain." Every instinct screamed no. But grief is strange. It sometimes wants to touch the thing that hurt it, just to confirm it was real. "Where?" she asked, voice cold. "The cafe," he said quickly. "After closing. 1 hour. That's all I'm asking." Nyla hesitated, then agreed, hating herself for it the moment she did. When she walked into Cora House Cafe that night, the air smelled exactly the same. Coffee. Cinnamon. Memories. Aton stood near the counter. He looked different, tired, older, like life had grabbed him by the shoulders and shaken him. The ring on his finger glinted under the light like a cruel joke. Nyla's gaze dropped to it, and her chest tightened. Aton followed her gaze and quickly shoved his hand into his pocket, like hiding it could undo everything. "Nyla," he said softly. You look beautiful." "Don't," she replied. He nodded, swallowing. "Okay." They sat at a corner table, the same one they used to share when she read her drafts, and he pretended he wasn't emotional. Aton stared at his hands. "The wedding wasn't supposed to happen that fast," he began. "I went home planning to negotiate. But my mother, she collapsed 2 days after I arrived. Stress. She thought she was losing me the way she lost my father." Nyla's jaw tightened. "So you married someone to keep her blood pressure stable." "It sounds stupid when you say it like that," he muttered. "It is stupid," Nyla said, her eyes shining. "You could have called me. You could have told me the truth. Instead you disappeared and came back married." Aton's voice broke. "I was ashamed." "Good," Nyla whispered. "You should be." He flinched like she had slapped him. "I didn't stop caring about you," he pleaded. "I never stopped." Nyla leaned in slightly, her voice trembling with controlled pain. "Aton, listen carefully. Caring is not love when you won't choose it. Love is action. Love is courage. Love is saying, 'I will not lose you.'" Aton's eyes filled. "I wanted to say it. But you didn't," she replied. "So now you live with it." He wiped his face quickly, embarrassed. "Serene is kind," he said, voice low. "She didn't do anything wrong. She was raised for this. She's good at it." Nyla felt sick. "So you want me to pity you because you married a kind woman?" "No," he said quickly. "I'm saying I made a mess of 2 lives." Nyla stood up. Her chair scraped the floor. "You made a mess of mine," she corrected. "I don't know her." Aton looked up, panic flashing. Please sit. Please. I just want to tell you one thing. Nyla paused, arms crossed. Aton's voice came out raw. I love you. The words hit the air and hung there, useless and late. Like flowers placed on a grave after the person has already been buried. Nyla's throat tightened. She almost laughed. She almost cried. Instead, she looked at him with a quiet rage. I waited for that, she said softly. And you gave it to me after you put a ring on someone else. Aton whispered, say something. Nyla swallowed the lump in her throat. I will say this, she said. I loved you too. I loved you in silence because I was scared. But you, her voice cracked, you made my silence your excuse. You never had to fight for me because I never demanded to be chosen. Aton's eyes widened, guilt flooding his face. Nyla stepped back. I am demanding it now, she said. Not from you. From life. From myself. She picked up her bag. Aton stood too, desperate. What does that mean? It means I'm leaving this story, she replied. You don't get to return to it when you're lonely. He reached out as if to grab her hand, then stopped, respecting the boundary too late. Nyla, he begged, please. She looked at the ring again, then met his eyes. Congratulations, she said, voice like glass. I hope your duty keeps you warm at night. Then she walked out, her knees shaking, her heart splitting in a way that felt clean and final. Outside, the air was cold. Nyla breathed in deeply, forcing her lungs to work. She didn't see that Aton stayed behind the glass, watching her leave like a man watching his own future disappear. And she didn't know that across town, Serene Halley, now Serene Cole, was sitting alone in a beautiful house, staring at her husband's untouched dinner plate, already sensing that she had married a man whose heart was somewhere else. Serene wasn't foolish. She had grown up around polished smiles and quiet wars. She had watched women win husbands and still lose love. So when Aton returned from the cafe that night with eyes that looked like he had been crying, Serene didn't raise her voice. She set her book down calmly. You saw her, she said. Aton froze. How? I can feel it, Serene replied. Her voice was gentle but steady. When a man carries another woman in his chest, the room changes. Aton sat slowly, elbows on his knees. He looked defeated. I didn't want to hurt you. Serene nodded once, as if she expected nothing else. But you did. Aton rubbed his face, shame thick in his posture. I tried to do what my family needed. And what do you need? Serene asked. Aton didn't answer. Serene's eyes softened, and for a moment, she looked more tired than angry. Aton, I didn't marry you because I thought love would fall from the ceiling, she said quietly. I married you because our families wanted stability. I thought we could build respect, and maybe affection would grow. Aton's throat moved. You deserve better. Serene smiled faintly. Yes, and so does she. The truth in those words felt like a blade. Days passed. Their marriage moved like a performance. Meals, greetings, polite conversations, two people circling what they refused to name. Aton tried to be present. He tried to laugh at Serene's jokes. He tried to touch her hand with warmth instead of obligation. But his guilt and longing sat between them like a third person at the table. One afternoon, Serene came home early and found Aton staring at his phone, thumb hovering over a blocked contact, eyes hollow. Serene put her purse down quietly. You love her, she said again, not as a question. Aton's shoulders sagged. Yes. Serene exhaled, slow and controlled. She walked to the window and stared outside. Then why did you marry me? Aton's voice cracked. Because I was weak. Serene closed her eyes. And now what? Aton swallowed. I don't know. Serene turned back, and her expression was calm in a way that frightened him. I know, she said. We end this before it becomes cruelty. Aton's head snapped up. Serene. No, she interrupted gently. Don't argue. Don't suddenly become brave now. Listen. She sat across from him, hands folded. I will not compete with a ghost. I will not be a trophy that proves you obeyed. I am a person. Aton looked like he might break. My mother will. I will handle your mother, Serene said, voice firm. I will handle the whispers. I will handle the disappointment. What I will not handle is sleeping beside a man who dreams of someone else. Aton's eyes filled. You're kind. Serene's lips tightened. Kindness is not weakness, she said. And I don't want your pity. That night, Serene called her family and told them the truth in a voice that didn't shake. Within a week, the separation was arranged quietly. No scandal, no dramatic public fight. Just a clean cut, like removing a thorn before it infects the whole body. Eitan's family raged behind closed doors. His mother cried. His uncles accused him. His aunties called Nyla names they didn't even know how to spell. But Eitan stayed firm, for the first time in his life. He moved out. He sat alone in a small apartment with bare walls and finally asked himself the question he avoided for too long. What is love worth if you only speak it when it's safe? Meanwhile, Nyla tried to rebuild. She poured herself into her writing until her fingers cramped. She went to open mic nights and read poems that made strangers clap with wet eyes. She laughed more with Decca. She ate better. She slept better. She told herself she was done. But love, even unchosen love, leaves echoes. One evening, as Nyla stepped out of a bookstore, she saw him across the street. Eitan. He looked thinner. His shoulders were squared like a man who had made a decision he couldn't undo. He didn't rush at her. He just stood there, hands visible, giving her space. Nyla's heart stumbled, angry at itself for reacting. She turned to walk away. Nyla, he called softly. She stopped but didn't turn. I won't follow you, he said, voice careful. I need to say something, and then I'll leave. Nyla slowly faced him. Her eyes were guarded. Say it. Eitan swallowed. I separated. Nyla's expression didn't change. That's your life. It is, he agreed. And I'm not telling you to come back. I'm not asking you to fix me. Nyla crossed her arms. Then why are you here? Eitan's eyes shone. Because you were right. Love is action. And I failed you. I failed myself. Nyla's throat tightened, but she kept her voice steady. So what do you want now? Eitan took a breath. I want to apologize properly, he said. Not with 2 words in a text. Not with excuses. I want to say, I am sorry I used your silence as a place to hide. I am sorry I let you believe you weren't worth fighting for. Nyla's eyes burned. She blinked fast. Eitan continued, voice shaking. You were worth it. You still are. I was just not brave enough. Nyla felt tears rise, and she hated them. Do you know what it did to me? She whispered. To see that photo? To realize I wasn't even important enough to be warned. Eitan nodded, tears falling now. Yes, he said hoarsely. And if you never forgive me, I will accept it. I deserve the consequence. Nyla stared at him for a long time. The world around them kept moving, cars, people, horns, but their small space felt still. Finally, she spoke. I loved you, she said, voice trembling. I loved you in silence because I didn't want to be rejected. And I thought if I stayed gentle, you would stay. Eitan flinched, like her honesty was a punishment. Nyla wiped a tear away. But I learned something, she said. Love that is always hidden becomes a prison. And I don't live in prisons anymore. Eitan's lips parted. Nyla. She held up a hand. Listen, she said. A part of me will always care about you. That's the truth. But caring is not enough to rebuild what you broke. Eitan's shoulders trembled. Is there no chance? Nyla took a breath, feeling the weight of the moment. She could choose the fantasy, the reunion, the relief, the warm ending people love. But she also remembered the coldness of that wedding photo, the way her pain had been an afterthought. I'm choosing myself, she said gently. Eitan nodded slowly, tears streaming. I understand. Nyla stepped closer, surprising both of them, and for the first time, finally, she did what she had been too afraid to do for so long. She reached up and touched his cheek, not as a promise, but as a goodbye. I hope you become the kind of man who doesn't wait until it's too late, she whispered. Eitan closed his eyes, leaning into her hand like a starving person tasting warmth. I'm sorry, he breathed. Nyla lowered her hand and stepped back. Her heart ached, but her spine felt stronger than it ever had. Then she turned and walked away, slowly, steadily, letting the love remain a chapter, not a cage. Eitan didn't chase her. He stood there and watched, knowing that this time, respecting her choice was the only love he could offer without destroying her again. And Nyla kept walking, tears on her cheeks, yes, but also a strange, new peace in her chest, because for the first time, her silence wasn't hiding love anymore. It was protecting her future. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And tell us where you're watching from, because some goodbyes deserve witnesses, and your support helps stories like Nyla's reach the hearts that need them most.